Señoras y señores, tengan mucho cuidado, porque aquí llegan para hablar de lucha libre en esta arena, bandidos del micrófono. Rondan este territorio. Señoras y señores, llega hasta este escenario el coyote rápido, Jay. Y llega acompañado por el voluntario vicioso sin cinturón. Él es Cody. Y llegan para presentar de Rudos Podcast.
Welcome to the Rudos Podcast. I'm Jay.
And this is Scotty No Belt. How are you doing, Jay?
Scotty, I am feeling the G1 hangover. The lack of wrestling is killing me. I don't know what to do with myself with all this free time now.
I feel the same way. I'm sitting there, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, do I need to watch, get in a quick match? I think I've got time for a half-hour match before I go to work. Do I have time to watch a match during lunch? And now I'm just like, oh, wait, this is different. I'm paying attention to my food. I'm going to the gym. All these amazing things.
Yeah, the G1 hangover is real. It's very real. But there's still tons of great wrestling coming up this summer. We've got the Super J Cup this week. The Rudos Podcast will be representing in San Francisco this Saturday for the Super J Cup. I'm really excited. It's going to be a blast. Go Caristico, go Severano, go Dragon Lee. I'll be rooting for the luchadores on Saturday. Scotty, we've got a winner. We have a winner. We've crowned a champion. He put together a pretty awesome bracket.
Wrestling picker number one.
Wrestling picker number one. The man for whom the chimes toll. The big clock man. Ryan. Hey, Ryan.
Yes, thank you. Please hold your applause until I'm done talking. Thank you very much. Oh, this was a stressful G1. This is the first time I've actually had to been in any sort of brackets for this. Not just for our little competition, which you better believe when that rust mask finally gets to my house, I'm going to be taking a picture of it. You had better believe that.
As you should.
Mm-hmm.
You've taken the championship for the first annual Rudos Podcast G1 Prediction Spectacular. Congratulations, sir. A well-deserved title. You've deservedly won the Rouge Mask. You can wear it in public. You can wear it to the store.
I'm going to be wearing it at Warrior Wrestling on September 1st, let me tell you.
Nice. Are you gonna wear it to the dinner table?
I'll wear it to work. We'll see what the reactions are.
That's awesome. So, as the winner, I'm going to turn the floor over to you to brag, to boast, to bask in the glory of your victory.
Yes, bask in my glory. Turns out my predictions did pretty well, because not only did I win this, I am also, the first time, the winner of the Voices of Wrestling G1 Climax Pick'em contest. I came in first out of 840 other schmoes and joes.
You're crushing it, man. You're crushing it.
I am crushing it.
That's awesome. You're a wrestling prognosticator baller.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, you should try to do one of those NCAA tournament pick'ems this year. Maybe make some money. You have a talent. You have a talent, sir.
Well, I'm not really a basketball guy, so I would probably lose my ass on that.
Oh, man. Well, congratulations. A well-earned victory. What really cinched it was in the final night, the final match of the tournament. The Switchblade Jay White against Kota Ibushi. Ibushi taking the win, sealed his victory in the G1, and it sealed your victory too, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
How on edge were you during that match?
Not very, because I got spoiled before I could watch it. I woke up that morning, and the first thing that I saw when I turned on my tablet wasn't actually the G1 result, but it was Shibata's return. And that immediately had to get me searching.
Oh, wow.
I had to go look.
That was a huge shock. We'll talk about it later. We'll bring in Steve, the second place winner, who lost only by tiebreaker. So, Steve, you picked well too, but, you're not Ryan. Sorry.
Salt. I'm salty.
So close, yet so far away.
I had it. Ugh.
How does it feel?
I mean, it doesn't feel good, but I think I'm gonna find a way to get my hands on a mask at some point.
Hey, there's plenty of time to go to Mexico. The flights are cheap. The food is amazing.
Smuggle them back into Canada.
Yeah, would Canadian Customs stop you for a mask?
No, why would they stop me for a mask?
I don't know, man. It's Canada. Stuff's weird up there. It's all backwards and everything.
We're not America. Yeah, we wear the masks backwards. This means they're illegal.
That's true. Going through U.S. Customs, not fun. Get global entry. It's my recommendation. We have our winner. He will be receiving his Rouge mask, and we'll get a photo retweeted by the Rudos Podcast Twitter account, at Rudos Podcast. So, Scotty, you've been scouring the internet again, searching deep and far across social media, across the websites in the wrestling world to find the Rudo move of the week.
I'm tapping into the information superhighway to find the most Rudo thing I can find. And this was a gem. Nate Diaz, when he's doing his open workouts before UFC 241, which was actually this past weekend, decided to spark up a joint. Which, I mean, that's so Rudo. It's very rebellious, even though they're in Vegas where it's kind of legal, or it is legal. But then he starts passing it around to the reporters. Totally baller move. So Rudo. He's really living the rebel lifestyle.
Man, the Diaz brothers, truly Rudo personified, representing Northern California here. Love the Diaz brothers, man. Those guys are true Rudos, sparking up a joint. Even though it's CBD, it's still a joint. Sparking up the CBD joint, showing that he doesn't give a fuck. I love the Diaz brothers, and Nate took away a victory, but hey, we're not here to talk about UFC. This is not an MMA podcast. This is a wrestling podcast. So
that's right.
We talked about the final of the G1 winner, Kota Ibushi, pulling it out in a fantastic match over the Switchblade. Let's kind of take a look back through all of the matches of the tournament and look at who had the best overall tournament. Who was the best wrestler throughout the entire G1? I'm going to say the name that I think a lot of folks are thinking. The man who is basically doing snow angels in Meltzer snowflakes, just them raining down on him. I'm talking about the Stone Pitbull, Tomohiro Ishii.
Yeah, you can't argue that he was phenomenal throughout the whole G1. I mean, he really brought a little something extra on all of those B block nights.
He really did. Ryan, what was your favorite Ishii moment throughout this tournament?
I would say one of his earlier matches is actually one of my favorite moments, and that's his match against Jay White. Ishii coming in there and slapping the smug right off of Jay White's face is just, that whole match was just fantastic. just the whole story.
Ishii came into the match. He didn't give a shit about Jay White. He was not having any of Jay White's Bullet Club bullshit. Ishii just came in there and just beat the shit out of him.
Him grabbing Gato right at the start pretty much set the whole tone for the thing.
I mean, say what you can say. He had the right plan of attack. He went in there, going after Gato, going after Switchblade. Just, hey, fuck it. The Bullet Club can't pull their tricks on you lying in a heap in the corner of the ringside area in pain.
Too bad we couldn't have an Ishii for Fale's matches in the A block, but, you know.
What can you do?
Yeah.
Steve, what was your favorite Ishii moment?
How is it not the splash? It has to be. It has to be the splash. I think Moxley pulled the table out in every single match he had. I want to say that that's true. But I can't remember for sure. They're just having their match, and he pulls out his table, and you're like, yeah, all right. And he sets up this table, and you're like, yeah, all right. And then he ends up on the table, you're like, yeah, all right, what's Ishii going to do? And then he goes up to the top rope, you're like, wait, no, what's Ishii going to do? And then he just splashes through him on the other. It's perfect.
That was insane. I jumped out of my seat when that happened. That's how you get somebody to pop for a table spot. When you get a guy like Ishii who just looks like a human, I don't know, bowling ball, getting on top of the top rope and jumping through a table through the outside. That was crazy. The crowd went apeshit for it. So, Scotty, what was your favorite Ishii moment?
It's really hard to pull out just one, especially when you think about the whole match he had against Shingo, right? Like, this match was freaking awesome. And, I mean, can I just say the whole thing?
That was a fantastic match. I picked it as my match of the tournament going into it. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But, man, that match was fantastic. Doing the splash through the table to the outside. You've seen Ishii do some crazy stuff. Poison Ranas and everything. And then for him to just get up on the top rope and do a splash to the outside, I mean, the crowd didn't know what to think. It was fantastic. They went nuts for it. Ishii's tournament was just crazy. I mean, there were so many fantastic moments he had. You go back, you think about that Moxley match, right? You think about the fantastic match he had with Goto, that just blow on blow, just, oh man, it was brutal. And I tweeted this question to Chris Charlton and Big Dave, asking them, because I don't really know the answer to it, but has there ever been any wrestler who's had a career renaissance like Ishii in their mid to late 40s? The awesome New Japan commentator Chris Charlton responded to my question. He said Tenryu in his 50s is still the gold standard for late career renaissance.
Well, that's excellent. There you have it. Answers on the fly. Thank you, Interweb.
Yeah. Thank you, social media. You're good for something.
There's actually two I can think of, and one of them is actually in this tournament. The other one is Bodyguard from AJPW, but to be fair, Bodyguard started at fucking 40. I would definitely say Lance Archer has made a big case for himself as having a bit of a renaissance right now, because his G1 was spectacular.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who else might have had that. I mean, maybe Terry Funk in ECW?
Maybe, but Terry was already very well regarded at that point.
Yeah, that's true. And really, he was pretty beat up by the time he got to ECW. It's kind of tough to think about that kind of career renaissance. At age 43, Ishii has had a fantastic career renaissance. There's just not many wrestlers who can be pulling out constant 5-star matches throughout an entire tournament. Every one of his matches was a must-watch. It's something that when you were watching the B block, you were like, all right, I'm definitely paying attention for the Ishii match.
You can easily make a case for Ishii being best in the world right now, or at least certainly in the top 5. There's just something universal about Ishii's appeal. His moveset's not very flashy. It's a lot of strikes, it's a lot of suplexes, but his offense always looks snug. His selling's always on point. His facials are always on point. Like, Ishii was nobody before 2013. He didn't even register on the radar for anybody. He was literally getting into that G1 climax that year that made people realize, wait, this guy's fucking awesome.
Oh, I mean, I remember the first time I watched a match of his with Jay, and I was just like, whoa, this guy is for real. Like you do not want to run into him in a dark alley, that's for sure. Or get him mad at you in any way.
No, those lariats look just so brutal. He just stands there and he takes an incredible amount of punishment. He's like a zombie. He just keeps coming back at you. It's just crazy. You need to use the finisher on Ishii. That's the only way you put him down. Other than that, he's just going to keep coming at you.
It's going to take more than one.
Just the matches, the hard hitting, the selling, the way he makes such a stylistically simple offense, right? Comparatively simple offense, look killer. And he really makes it work. He can really tell a story during the match with such a, for the modern era, relatively basic offense, right?
Absolutely. It's legit.
I mean, you go back and look, maybe Stan Hansen is probably somebody who could have done something similar with a relatively limited or relatively basic offense, but man, Ishii, there's not anybody like him in the modern era. I mean, I guess you can kind of look maybe Daisuke Sekimoto or something, but man, just nobody at that kind of level with that kind of offense. It's just insane to see. And every match is different. He brings a lot of variety, and he just does such a great job of telling the story. He really is a fantastic wrestler. He had a fantastic tournament.
I feel like we say that about Ishii pretty much every year coming out of the G1, don't you think?
Yeah.
That's just how he's been since 2013.
He doesn't have off nights either, really, right? Like not every night's a 5-star match or anything, but you're never let down.
Nah. Again, his style is simple enough that he doesn't really need to lay back too much during the tag matches or anything like that.
Yeah, his timing, his selling, I mean, everything he does is really so expressive, and the crowd loves it. And it's just amazing how much he's able to connect with the crowd like that.
But you believe every move.
Every one of those lariats looks so painful, and the way he can just stand there in the face of the most withering punishment, just kicks, forearms, chops, he takes it all. And then you piss him off and he chops you in the fucking throat. I can't imagine anything worse than getting chopped in the throat by Ishii. Steve, what would you rather do than get chopped in the throat by Ishii?
Why would you phrase a question that way? The answer is everything.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to get chopped in the throat and then also Ishii. Like, no.
The thought of that is terrifying. And I love how, like, Red Shoes kind of admonishes him for it, but he doesn't really stop him from chopping people in the throat, you know? He just kind of is like, don't do that, Ishii. And then Ishii just continues to chop people in the throat. Who was the breakout star of the tournament? The person coming into the tournament who was either a big unknown or didn't have high expectations going into this year's G1. There's a lot of choices. This is a really tough question to answer.
Yeah, there are definitely a handful of participants this year that stood out and also really did seem to have some real serious breakout moments.
It's hard. I would say our top three, definitely Archer, Taichi, Mox, in no particular order. And if I had to pick one of those three, I would probably have to pick Moxley, just because he was such an unknown coming into the tournament. He really had only had a few indie matches and the one AEW match before the tournament, so people didn't really know what to expect. And man, did he defy expectations. He showed really what had kind of done by putting the shackles on him, by not letting him be that purveyor of violence, that violent character.
Every night, John Moxley was must see TV while he was out there. He really brought it all together. Good matches. He definitely showed his violent streak, and he also showed that he's got a fun side, and he's ready to mentor the future generations of professional wrestling.
That's right. He's mentoring Shooter the Death Rider now, formerly Shooter the Panty Dropper, formerly Shooter, formerly Shota Umino. Moxley had a fantastic tournament. He even busted out some new moves. He even broke out some jiu-jitsu in his match with Goto, using a sweet Kimura, using the transition into the armbar. Side of Mox we hadn't seen before, but apparently he had learned doing an MMA-style camp in Las Vegas before the tournament. So, man, he really showed a new side. He showed that Dean Ambrose is but a distant memory, and Jon Moxley is here. Jon Moxley is taking over the wrestling world.
He is so versatile.
Definitely worked that violent style, but still managed to have a good variety to his matches. Although he had a little bit of a disappointing match with Jeff Cobb. Outside of that, man, he was just fantastic throughout the tournament. Ryan, who is your pick for the breakout performance of the tournament?
I think I have to go with Archer here. Going into this tournament, been at least, half a year since we saw Archer in New Japan last? Maybe longer? His previous G1 shows just weren't all that special.
And then don't forget he had the back surgery, right?
But that was a while ago. That was like a couple years ago, and like he had already come back from that with Davey Boy. Killer Elite Squad were having very good matches by the end, but that's the New Japan tag scene. They were like one of the only 3 teams in that tag scene, so you got awful sick of it after a little while.
What about all of the new offense Archer broke out for this G1?
Yeah, Archer was not looking like a particularly impressive guy going into this. Now, if you were watching Kazuna Road and stuff like that, you got to see Archer before he entered that tournament. And he was definitely looking in good shape. I still think very few people were really prepared for what Archer was going to deliver when he came out in Dallas sporting that new look. And then almost immediately after his match with Ospreay started, hit a Spanish Fly. Archer has always been a flippy person. This tournament is like, this is the point where he's starting to really like put it all together as a wrestler. Because he was just having great matches with everyone, left and right. Including Bad Luck Fale. I'm pretty sure everybody went into that thinking that match was going to be the pits. That was going to be the worst match of Fale. The worst match of the G1, worst match of Fale's run this year. And it wasn't even close. It was a legit good match.
Carrying Fale is no joke, right? For Archer to come in and be able to put on a good match with Fale, who, I mean, really, let's face it at this point, Fale is barely mobile.
Even after they got rid of, after last year's fiasco with the Bullet Club, there was no Tamatonga or Tangaloa all tour until the end. Jay White's bullshit was kept to a minimum for the most part. You still had Gato getting in there once in a while, but a lot of his wins were actually clean. Not only does Fale have Chase and Jado in his corner, but they are actively interfering in the match to a degree that has not been seen in any G1 thus far in history, really.
Fredo 1 and Fredo 2.
Fredo 1 and Fredo 2, yes.
Oh, wait, no, sorry, Fredo 2 and Fredo 3. Because I think
Well,
think Gato is Fredo, right? And then
Gato is Fredo. Jado is Fredo 2 because they're buds. I don't think Chase is Fredo 3 because he was never part of Chaos to begin with.
I think he still gets lumped in and called Fredo.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's Rocky. Rocky's gonna Rocky.
Rocky had a fun little tournament there, by the way. I really loved the ongoing shit-talking the entire tournament between Rocky and Gato and Jay White. My favorite moment of that was when Jay White won his, I think, first or second match, I want to say, and it's after the match, and he walks out to the ringside area, extends his arms wide, and asks Rocky for a hug. And then and Gato is just egging him on. Gato is there yelling like, "Give him a hug! Give him a hug!" It's the microphone picks up Gato. It was so funny. And then Switchblade does just end up giving him a hug, and Rocky was not happy. It was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, who was your breakout performance of the tournament?
Well, I think it's very clear that the only person worth nominating is the constantly underrated ace of the company, the man who ended Jon Moxley's undefeated streak, Yano Tarak. No, it's... I hesitate to say it because I don't think anybody had low expectations of him, but given this was his first tournament and people weren't entirely sure what he was going to do at the heavyweight level, I want to nominate Shingo. Again, it's like people knew he could do it, and he got a good match out of Kojima, but no one was really sure from a meta level or a kayfabe level how New Japan was going to treat him in the heavyweight division. And I think the fact that he was involved in one of the 3 matches that broke 5 stars, broke the great Meltzer ratings, speaks. I mean, his opponent was Ishii, so what are you going to do? But they just, he got to look strong. He got to do his stuff. He got his shit in. He was entertaining. He was my second highlight guy of B Block after Ishii, personally. And I'm not sure I expected him to be there.
That performance was fantastic. He had some great matches, and he looked pretty strong throughout, like you said. Normally, New Japan is not terribly kind to booking newcomers to the G1, especially newcomers from outside of the company. But, man, he had a great G1. Kenta had a really good G1, too, for being the sort of outsider coming in. Although, obviously, Shingo had connected with the crowd a little bit more than our friend Kenta.
Just a little, yeah. Shingo's always been good with that.
Yeah, and we'll talk about Kenta in a little bit. I definitely think you raised some great points about Shingo. What was your favorite Shingo moment this G1, Steve?
Oh, you can't just make me pick one off the top of my head, man.
You gotta pick one.
Oh my gosh.
It's Rudo, man. We're being Rudo here. We gotta be taught.
You are. I'm so far removed from it at this point. I kind of want to pull a Scotty and pick an entire match, the same entire match. So Ishii Shingo was an amazing match, but even more than that, the fact that Shingo actually won that match was like shocking isn't the right word, but it's just one of those things that makes you feel good. It makes you feel like, oh, Gato knows what he's doing. That's right. This is okay. I trust this.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Yeah. There was one moment in that match where Shingo was, I can't remember what happened. I think he like reversed out of an Irish whip or something, and he turns around and he hits Ishii with a short arm lariat, and it looked like he hit him with a baseball bat. The so much power in the short arm lariat, not the full Irish whip, bounce off the ropes. No, it was just a standing short arm lariat, and he's got that really sort of explosive movement, and he used all of it there and just clubbed Ishii, and the sweat flew everywhere. I can remember it so vividly in my mind. That was my defining moment from that match. Just death by lariat.
Going back to my fantastic win that I was talking about in the opening there, I feel like if you were paying attention, you knew that Shingo was going to go over there because A, Shingo is awesome, duh, but so's Ishii. But more because B, that was the match they chose to close the show. Ishii, if you've actually seen his backstage promos, he isn't much of a talker, more of a growler, which is, I don't think that's something Bushiroad is looking for in a person to close the show. And of course, Shingo has a lot of experience closing out shows, considering that he was top dog in Dragon Gate for a good long while.
They gave him that go home promo, which was really good, and man, the crowd was just stunned. I mean, they were so hot for that match. I was going back and looking at my notes, and I was just like, man, that crowd. Can you imagine being in that venue? Because I don't think it's that big of a venue, right? It was the Yokohama like Cultural Gymnasium or something. It was not a huge venue. So, man, can you imagine going to that and seeing that match in a small venue? It's amazing.
I mean, you say small venue, but that's like a 5,000 seats building. That's still pretty sizable.
That's true.
Thinking back on it, I think Corkin was probably the smallest building they ran.
Corkin seats like 1,500, right?
1,700 with the full setup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there are two different setups for Corkin. A smaller setup that most of the small promotions use that goes up to about 1,000 or so, and then the full setup where there's no stage or anything. It's just pack as many seats as you can. That's the 17,000 configuration. And you only really see that for like the top 3 or top 4 promotions, really. Anything smaller than All Japan shouldn't even bother.
We've talked about the breakout star of the tournament, the best overall tournament. Let's kind of talk about who was on the other side of the spectrum, who didn't meet expectations, who had the most underwhelming tournament. And Steve, I know you've got some strong feelings about this one.
Oh, buddy, I'm not going to pick the person you maybe think I'm going to pick. So, from the perspective of the people that underwhelmed me personally the most, God, it feels so weird after what y'all said before. But the person who disappointed me the most was Jon Moxley.
Wow.
Actually.
Wow.
I know.
Dude, you're such a hater.
I know.
Rudo.
I was with him until I think the Naito match. I was in with the Juice match, obviously, before the tournament. I was in with Taichi. I was okay with the Cobb match. It didn't bother me as much as most people. And I really liked the Ishii match because it was a great match. And then it just kept going, and his offense kept feeling weak, and it kept feeling like he wasn't really doing all that much new. And every time he had a good match, it was entirely because of his opponent and not him, from my perspective. And I don't think he had a bad tournament. And I think it's fair to say he's broken out and shown what he can do. But I was disappointed in what he did.
That's a fair assessment of Moxley's tournament. Yeah, definitely a lot of for the purveyor of violence. A lot of his offense is super soft, particularly whenever he threw out that running clothesline.
Yeah,
that was always like the worst part of the match.
His dive was never great, and I don't really feel like it got better. I think if I want to call out one specific thing, I thought his match with Goto was very underwhelming and very weirdly. I think it was weird that was the one that they chose to do 8 minutes, because it didn't feel like Goto surprised him with a victory. To me, it felt like Jon Moxley didn't want to do a long match. And that's probably very unfair. But
at the same time, it might actually be accurate. After all, he's got All Out coming up. He's got Kenny Omega coming up. It's near the end of the tournament. He's got to face Juice in a couple nights. He does not want to get injured at this point.
Yeah, I feel like maybe it's recency bias, because I felt like the Jay White match was medium to me, and then he had the 8-minute Goto match, and I was like, okay, well, it's because he's gearing up to have a banger with Juice at the next block night, and then it was just kind of okay, and I was like, all right, I guess something here isn't working for me.
Yeah, I agree with you on some of those points. I feel like his offense did sort of drag on towards the end. He really didn't break out anything new until that 8-minute Goto match, when he breaks out the Kimura, he breaks out the armbar, he's doing some kind of cool jiu-jitsu kind of stuff. I wonder why he didn't break that out earlier into the tournament. It's definitely a unique wrinkle he can add to his offense. But yeah, I've never been a big fan of his dive. Moxley definitely needs to go to Mexico and work on that, learn a little lucha to improve the tope suicida.
Yeah, learn from Black Panther.
Learn from Dragon Lee.
It's too bad he left. He left the company that shall not be named before the man with the best dive in the business joins.
That's true. King Cuerno.
So the thing about Moxley's tournament, though, and what you were saying about the jiu-jitsu moves, I thought one of the awesome things was how the story of the tournament evolved for him, as they came back to talking about, like, man, it seems like every match he's got like a new twist for his opponent, and this guy that we all thought was, the lunatic and crazy and just a brawler actually has put together a game plan. And I think that's kind of why you saw, like, in different matches, like, oh, this is we didn't expect him to do this. So I think that was just part of the story they were telling.
Yeah, I don't know. It could also just be something that he's decided to finally integrate into his offense. Like I said earlier, he had done an MMA-style training camp, was training, I believe, at an MMA gym in Las Vegas. And in his recent match against Killer Cross in the Las Vegas Indie Future Stars of Wrestling, I believe, he worked a lot of jiu-jitsu in that match. He and Cross were trading some jiu-jitsu submissions. Cross having a little bit of a jiu-jitsu background, training at an MMA gym there in Vegas, having trained in Muay Thai, training Muay Thai in Thailand, no less. He did break that out a lot for that Killer Cross match, and so maybe he's prepping for his Bloodsport match against Barnett. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he's busting out the jiu-jitsu in preparation for that. Maybe he's going to add it as a consistent part of his offense. I think it's kind of a cool wrinkle that he could add if he can sort of figure out how to better integrate that. It definitely adds a new element when he can throw in that submission game, and really might need to use it in some of these matches coming up in AEW and on TV. So Be interesting to watch to see how he uses that. But yeah, I could definitely see how you could be underwhelmed. And like you said, his offense didn't really vary all that much throughout the tournament. It was kind of a lot of the same. Ryan, who underwhelmed you this G1?
I think a lot of people would reach over to Cobb at first. But he's an interesting case because Jeff Cobb's always been a little bit hit or miss when it comes to his matches, all his matches really. Really, Jeff Cobb is at his best when he's the big powerhouse who's tossing around the smaller guy,
or even a guy his own size, right? He can toss around some big dudes, but yeah, you're right. That's when he looks his most dangerous. Is when he can just ragdoll someone, right? You think back to the Matanza matches in Lucha Underground where he's throwing luchadors halfway across the freaking ring.
There were plenty of people in here who were much bigger boys than Cobb, let's be honest. Although actually the biggest boys is the block were in A block, not in B block where Cobb was stuck in. And I guess that's the problem. You didn't have a lot of people who could really play off of what Cobb is good at. A lot of his matches tended to be on that lower end where it just wasn't really working. Probably no surprise that the best match of his that I saw was the Ishii match because he was Hiro Ishii, come on. And even that didn't really deliver in the way that I would have hoped after seeing the Dallas angle with them having to get pulled apart.
I thought Cobb had a good match with Naito towards the end of the tournament. He really had kind of stepped up the hossing a bit in that match. He hit the F5000 on Naito, the spinning F5, where he just spins him like a human, propeller in the air. I thought that he started to turn it on a bit towards the end of the tournament. So you think Cobb, he's got to step up the hossing. What else do you think he has to do to get ready and improve in time for next year's G1?
Assuming he's still around. I don't think it's a lock that New Japan will necessarily sign him once the ROH contract expires.
You don't think that the tournament performance was enough to get that contract?
What I saw? Yeah, not really sure. Like, maybe he could come in as a guest. I'm not sure if he's getting that full-time New Japan contract, though. He could easily end up in that same weird state as the Guerrillas of Destiny, where they're showing up all the time, but they aren't even signed with the company.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, his contract is up this fall, so we will find out in just a couple months. Scotty, who underwhelmed you for this tournament?
I can't really say I had anybody that underwhelmed me. Maybe there were a couple of matches here and there where I didn't feel like the combination of the people or whatever was super interesting. But I mean, I saw so much from so many different of these guys that I didn't really feel like I had an underwhelmer.
Let's take a break from the G1 for a moment. We're going to come back to it, but I want to give out our other award of the week, the award that goes to that company that won't be named, the bad three letters. I'm talking about giving out the Such Good Shit Award.
Oh, it's such good shit! Oh, it's such good shit!
All right, Steve, this one's all yours.
Is it? Are you sure? Are you sure I can handle that kind of pressure?
I mean, there was a lot of good shit this week. There was
a lot of good shit this week.
You have the Sami Zayn faux meltdown after losing King of the Ring. You have Cesaro jobbing out in the first round of the King of the Ring.
There was that made sense. Cesaro lost to Samoa Joe. I mean, that doesn't look bad to me.
You had
Sami Zayn lost in 3 minutes or something. That looked pretty bad. You have Shelton Benjamin throwing shade at Chad Gable. Not quite tall enough to enter the King of the Ring, perhaps.
Oh yeah. And then you've got the reveal of the XFL logos.
The XFL logos. Oh, what's your favorite?
Oh God.
A lot of people are on Battlehawks, I think.
Yeah, or there was the what was it, the Los Angeles one that looked vaguely like genitalia?
It's the Los Angeles Randy Ortons.
Oh man.
I have a fondness for the Seattle Dragons, though. There's something about the Dragons. For example, perhaps stealing that logo from a university sports team, just wholesale.
Stealing the UAB logo.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So Steve, I just to follow up on that, are you going to be making any trips south of the border to see some Seattle Dragons games this coming season?
You couldn't pay me.
Oh, dude, I'm so game.
You feel free to go by yourself. I hope you enjoy giving Vince McMahon more money.
All I can see is that they have two teams in Texas. Both of their names start with an R. And I could easily see some smartass trying to turn it into like the Houston Rednecks or the Dallas Rednecks or some shit like that. That's all I can think about looking at these.
Yeah, they are pretty terrible. But that's not the best shit of the week, right? That's all good
Sure
shit.
isn't.
But it's not such good shit, right? To be such good
True.
shit, it has to be just on another level, right, Steve?
It has to be really petty is basically the main component, right? It just has to be something where it's not unexpected, but it's the kind of thing where you're like, you're being really transparent here. We know exactly what you're doing. Please calm yourself down. And I just want to say I'm really excited to start watching the newest hit wrestling show of Wednesday evenings. The newest Vince McMahon product, maybe, we don't really know. I'm ready. I'm ready to watch some NXT live on the USA Network. Absolutely unmotivated. They just decided it's time for NXT to have a live show that it had at a previous point and did very poorly at.
It's such good shit.
Such good shit. September 18th. Definitely not strategically chosen to come before anything else.
Not at all. It has nothing to do with any other television program on Wednesday night. Okay, get that out of your head right now.
What competition? What war? There's no war. Calm yourself down.
No. There's just Vince. There's just the three letters. There's just the Fed up north.
TNA? Impact? Sorry.
Come on, man. They're Canadian. You should know the name has changed.
What other Wednesday night show
They're Canadian
has...
in 6 letters.
Sorry, I'm sorry. This is worth it, I think. Let me look up some names.
Well, and that Impact's on Friday nights, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
What other Wednesday night show features Steve Cutler, Wesley Blake, and Jackson Riker?
I mean, gosh.
You've forgotten who that is, haven't you?
They don't have stars like that. They don't have stars like...
It's true.
Like, oh, I got Babatunde.
They're bringing in all these old men like Chris Jericho. What's going on? Come on.
Chris Jericho should be...
Who hires 40-plus-year-olds to show up on their weekly television show? I mean, honestly.
Yeah, what are they going to... They're going to film Chris Jericho segments in the retirement home? Come on. Oh, such good shit. Such good shit. I wow. Winning the Such Good Shit award, congratulations to NXT.
And as a former NXT superstar, I'd just like to tweet about how much I'm excited for NXT on Wednesday nights live on the USA Network.
A former NXT champion, no less.
Indeed.
That was great. Andrade going to the LA Park School of Twitter. I loved it. Back to the G1. We had to hand out our very prestigious award. Let's get back to the G1. Let's talk about the big surprise of the tournament. I mean, nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw this coming. Even Ryan, the magical, mystical, perfect prognosticator, didn't have this in his predictions. What I'm talking about is Kenta turning on everyone, really, and turning on Shibata, turning on the LA Dojo, and joining the Bullet Club. And then pissing off Shibata, who came out and laid a beat down until he was swarmed by Bullet Club.
I mean, hey, Ryan, I was a lot like you on this one, actually. I woke up, looked at my phone. I didn't see spoilers for the G1 finals. It was this news. I was just like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, went in, found some video highlights, saw some of the shots Shibata took on Kenta. This was a pretty big moment that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, really, you could probably see Kenta turning heel just based off of the reactions he was getting with the crowd. Like, I wouldn't have rated it too strongly, but the argument was already there before he made the turn. But Shibata coming out and actually doing something physical, yeah, nobody expected that. Like, I think a lot of people were kind of hoping the surprise would be Hiromu returning, but you can definitely see why they wouldn't want to return him here. They had that in their pockets.
Who knows? I might be seeing Hiromu at King of Pro Wrestling in October. That would be pretty awesome. But yeah, like you said, not many people were predicting this. Man, I mean, I didn't think I'd ever see Shibata in the ring doing anything, right? Other than training, other than like a training montage video. I didn't think I'd ever see
I didn't realize just how much I actually missed his little mannerisms until he was back there in the ring doing them again. Like, just the way he marched over into the corner, did that corner drop kick, and then just like threw his arms back like, out with the trash you go.
And Shibata didn't do the soft version of the corner drop kick to the shoulder. He caught all of Kenta in the face.
Which is, to be fair, is what you would kind of want out of an angle where your friend just turned his back on you.
Yeah. Steve, what did you think about the return of Shibata to punish his friend who turned his back on him?
So, I have a similar story to the other two, but it's not exactly the same. I also missed the finals live because I was at another show that shall not be named the night before, and I decided to sleep because I had another show that evening. And I was not spoiled on what happened when I woke up, but I was advised to skip to a certain match. And that match was Ishii, Kenta, and Yoshihashi against Chase Owens, Fale, and...
It was G.O.D. and Fale.
G.O.D. and Fale, okay.
Mm-hmm. G.O.D.'s first match in friggin' ages in New Japan.
Since the Roppongi 3K match, maybe?
Yeah, since that. They were pretty much off just fighting the Briscoes in ROH all this time.
Yeah, I'm sure they were. And losing to them. But yeah, so I was told to skip to that match and not the finals. And I was like, all right, something's happening in this match. And I, as an ever online person, saw the Tamatonga tweet from, I believe it was the night before. I think it was somewhere around 24 hours before
like a couple days before, yeah.
Oh yeah, where he talked about recruiting a top level athlete into Bullet Club.
Right. And I was like, okay, they're probably not debuting someone new. So it's probably someone that's unaligned currently. Or it's someone that's turning, but that didn't seem likely. And so I get told to jump to this match. This was the third last match. It was this and then the Tanahashi Okada versus
Suzuki and CSJ.
Suzuki and Zack Sabre Jr., right. then that match, and then the finals. So it's like those other two matches I can see being, high quality matches. No one's gonna recommend that I jump to a Yoshihashi match for the quality. So something else is happening here, and so I kind of know. I'm like, okay, so someone's joining Bullet Club, and it's probably Ken. All right, fine, I got that figured out. And as an English speaker, I think I've said before, I listen to the English feed of New Japan. So I'm getting Kevin Kelly, Rocky Ramirez, Charlton. So what happens in this match or after this match is the thing happens and Kenta dodges the Ishii tag and then comes in and knees him and they get the pin and he's all clowning everything and Rocky and Kenta are going, or Rocky and Kevin Kelly are going crazy on him. They're all mad at him. And then the LA Dojo Young Lions jump in and they beat them up and Yoshihashi gets beat up and whatever. And then Shibata slides in and starts fighting them. And Kevin Kelly's just like deadpan like, and then Shibata slides in and he's going after. And the other two are just like, wait, what? What's going on? Rocky Romero and Chris Charlton are going crazy and everyone starts freaking out. They're like seconds behind the crowd realizing, Japanese commentary realizing. And Kevin Kelly's just like deadpan reading off what's happening like a play-by-play guy. And basically it was exactly what happened with me. I was exactly the same way where I didn't register what was happening until it started happening.
As soon as I didn't even see the match. I just saw the aftermath that New Japan almost immediately posted up on Twitter. So it was with the Japanese commentary. They were just going. As soon as they realized it was Shibata, they were just screaming, along with literally everyone else in the building. They were just screaming. It was pandemonium.
It was absolute pandemonium. I saw the same clip. I got kind of spoiled on it by that same clip from New Japan. I think it was like New Japan World or something posted it on Twitter. But yeah, it was in Japanese, and the Japanese announcers are screaming. The crowd is screaming. It was insane. People were losing their fucking minds. I mean, wouldn't you lose your mind if you were there, right? I mean, you're sitting there, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Shibata comes running out. Do you think those people expected to see Shibata? Hell no.
And there's just that little bit of not knowing, is he back for real? Is this the start of, is he having matches? Is he back? And we still don't even know 100%.
No.
Obviously there's been the backstage information through tertiary sources, but who knows for sure?
Yeah, there's evidence to support it going either way. Shibata's not coming back, or maybe he could come back, but I'm not going to bother getting into that.
Yeah, man, that was a huge surprise. The crowd went apeshit. I went apeshit when I saw it. Shibata was one of my favorite wrestlers. I was really sad after he had to retire because of his injury. Man, it was nuts. It was nuts. It was just, like you said, just seeing Shibata, seeing him do his great spots, all his mannerisms, just that fuck you look on his face the whole time. Oh man. And then the Bullet Club takes him down, and then Kenta doing the cross-legged Shibata pose on Shibata's prone body, holding the Bullet Club gun fingers to his head, and the crowd just went nuclear. They were so pissed.
Yeah, that was nuts right there.
Throwing up the too sweet too. They were like teaching him how to do the too sweet while he's sitting there on his chest.
That was classic. That was absolutely
image.
classic. Yeah. A perfect, like, defining image for Kenta in New Japan. It was so great when he came out to the final with the rest of the Bullet Club wearing that shit-eating grin, and the crowd were still booing him. They were booing the hell out of him.
Yeah, they were furious.
I mean, can you blame them?
No.
That was really great. That was just a masterful lesson in how to get good heat, right? I mean, It's not, you see all of these other promotions that try to get that kind of reaction, that try to get that kind of visceral fan reaction, that kind of just, like deep inside of you, rage and hate and getting that kind of heat. And they can't do it. It's really hard to do. And it is a testament to how masterful Gato's booking is and how well he can kind of read the crowd, right? For them to be able to book a segment that elicits that kind of visceral reaction from the crowd. There's very few other promotions in the world that can do that. Oh man, we've talked about so much. The biggest surprises, the biggest matches, the biggest letdowns, the biggest breakout stars. Let's kind of go into a little more fun conversation here. Let's talk about the C block, right? The sort of afterthought of the G1 tournament, never really thought of at the level of the other blocks, but the C block is very important. And this year, the C block has gotten a huge boost with the adventures of Shooter the Death Rider.
Hell yeah.
Guys, I think it's pretty safe to say that Shooter is the C block champion, right?
I mean, he's a shooting star from out of nowhere. He literally appears with his mentor like a young Sith apprentice. Like he's silent and he's deadly.
Yeah. Although Shooter may not have had the most points in the C block, I still want to award him the C block champion just because he had such an awesome fucking tournament with all of the little backstage segments, had some great matches tagging with Moxley, and we really got to see the evolution from Shota Umino to Shooter the Death Rider over the course of the tournament.
Excuse me, sir. I believe it's Shooter.
Oh, sorry. Shooter the Death Rider.
Yeah.
Deadly, cold fucking stare.
Those backstage segments, man.
The man doesn't even need to speak to show how much power he has.
No, and the craziest thing about all of this, right? I mean, this is such a fun angle. It's hilarious pairing him with Moxley. The other thing to think about, this guy is their top prospect, right? This guy has IWGP champion potential. He's got ace potential. And they stick him with Jon Moxley for the tournament, and they just totally run off with it, right? They run away with it. They really made it amazing with those backstage promos. I mean, if you follow any of the wrestlers on Instagram, you could see the pictures from Red Shoes of the pictures of Shooter and Jon Moxley mean mugging on a roof randomly somewhere in Tokyo. I mean, it was just, it was fantastic.
I mean, even how he was involved in the finish of the Yano and Moxley match, it was really a great thread throughout the event of getting the glimpses into this, like you said, top prospect.
I mean, I don't know what Geto is smoking to put his top prospect with Jon Moxley, but you know what? It fucking worked. How many other promotions would put their top prospect and pair them with a major outsider that is not relatively well known in Japan?
And then turn them loose like that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was expecting the partnership to go like this, but man, it's been fantastic. Steve, what was your favorite Shooter moment?
Didn't we already do that? I feel like it hasn't changed. I mean, in terms of the entire tournament, I think mine was the juice tag match. Does anybody remember?
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about that. You're right. We did. But you know what? That was a fantastic moment. That with turning it into a singles match. I mean, you look at, and just kind of taking a step back and looking at all of New Japan's Young Lions, this is a pretty talented Young Lion class.
Absolutely.
Ryan, who is your Young Lion to watch outside of Shuta, of course?
You're giving me a tough question, man, because they're all really good. They're all really, really good. I think, though, if I have to choose one non-shooter Young Lion to watch, it's gotta be Carl Fredericks, right?
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I mean, Carl Fredericks came in, man, he looked fantastic in those matches, those undercard tag matches. We talked about him on our other show, and it's really cool to see him just going out there, and he looks like a legit star. He's got the size, he's got the athleticism, he's got the really nasty streak in him that has been cultivated by Shibata at the LA Dojo. Man, sky's the limit, right? You look at Coughlin and Connors. Coughlin not being on this tour, but both of them looked really good. In what I've seen, Scotty and I saw Connors and Coughlin tagging in a local lucha indie. They looked really good. You've got Ren Narita, you've got Yota Tsuji, Uemura. Man, they are just absolutely stacked, really, with their current class. It's crazy.
All those guys have the potential to be huge stars.
And let's face it, you look at any other developmental system in the world, none of them can crank out. I mean, it's so rare for a developmental system to fully develop and crank out one star, let alone have the class like they do now, right? I mean, you look at even, let's face it, Kawato has not had a very good excursion in CMLL. We'll see what happens when he comes back. Oka apparently has had some good matches in the United Kingdom. And then you've got the rest of the Young Lions that we all just mentioned. Man, they're stacked. They have a stacked group of talent.
Apparently, Kawato's match where he won the the lightweights title.
Oh yeah, the vacant lightweight title vacated by Dragon Lee.
Apparently, that match with Audez was really good. Of course, Audez is awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say Audaz is a terrific wrestler. I was kind of bummed he wasn't in the Super J Cup, to be honest with you, but shit. Soberano, Caristico, Dragon Lee. Where do you want to see Shota Umino, Shooter, the Death Rider, Shooter? Sorry, I apologize for not used to the new name. Where do you want to see him do his excursion with New Japan's current partners?
With New Japan's current partners, I mean, that's tough as an American fan and having more access. Maybe Ring of Honor, but I mean, I want some kind of special exception to break out of their current partners.
I know you want to see him in AEW. I think a lot of people do. A lot of people want to see him continue with Jon Moxley, but I mean, come on, guys. Sorry, it's not realistic. As awesome as it would be, and
AEW is the chump option. I'm gonna enlighten you to the true shooter space. It's CZW, death shooter alive.
What about GCW?
That is probably what I would go.
Yeah.
CZW at this point.
Yeah, no, that's GCW's the real. I mean, as much as you maybe don't want Shooter to get murdered by Nick Cage, but hey, boy needs to learn somehow.
Yeah, Nick Gage, match with him, he'll learn a few things. I'd love to see Shooter in CMLL. Shooter doing lucha moves. I mean, that would be amazing. Although I don't know, we'll see what happens with Kawato. just kind of disappeared off the radar in CMLL for the past few weeks since he kind of won the title. So we'll see what happens. There have been some rumors about CMLL talking with. Nothing has been announced or solidified.
Sorry, which company is that?
Oh God! Oh, I said the words, didn't I?
Put $1 in the swear jar.
That's a round for the podcast.
Oh no! Oh.
Oh, it's such good shit.
Yeah, I said the bad letters. That's a couple Sumo Hall $7 tall boys for everyone. I wish it was a little cheaper. You know, the beer in Arena Mexico was only $4 for a tall boy, and it was a 24 ounce. So there you go. But enough about concession stands around the world as an important topic as that is. Let's save that one for another podcast. Looking ahead, we've got the Super J Cup. I'll be there this Saturday representing the Rudos podcast at the San Francisco event. Man, there's still so much going on the rest of the summer. We've got All Out in just 1 week. Ryan, you'll be representing the Rudos podcast there.
I'm gonna mail you some stickers. Hopefully they'll get there in time.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Please wear them on your face.
Do it. Or better yet, do like I suggested to Steve and rush the ring. Steve, I'm really sad you didn't rush the ring.
I did, but they caught me long before I reached it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then Rudo move, you kicked one of the security guards in the dick and ran off.
I'm Canadian. We don't do that.
Forgot things are different up there. So we've got All Out next week. We've got CMLL Aniversario September 27th. We've got the debut of Big Daddy Yum Yum in just one week in CMLL for the Grand Prix. Not as big as the CMLL Aniversario main event, which is likely going to be Ultimo Guerrero against the main man of Lucha Libre, Sieber the main man. It's a feud nobody cares about.
Sorry, the main man?
He's the main man of Lucha Libre, Sieber the main man.
The main man.
The main man. He will most likely be putting his title of the main man and his hair on the line at Aniversario. So if Ultimo Guerrero wins, he then becomes the main man. And he gets to shave him. I think it's in the stipulation. Guys, it's been a blast watching the G1, talking the G1 with you, going through all of these picks, predictions, all of these matches. Our brains are all fried, but man, it's been one hell of a journey. Ryan, Steve, thank you so much.
Thanks again, as always.
As the runner-up, I'll never be satisfied.
Yeah, you got to get your heat back.
As
Wait
the
for
winner,
next year.
take the L.
Or,
Hold that L.
you've already heard my challenge.
No, what is it? What is it? Close it out with your Rudo challenge.
I think I already told him. Mask versus hair. Wrestle Kingdom prediction contest.
Oh, wow.
I guess in order for that to work, if I lose, I have to get my hair taken off in a way that I can ship it to him. And then I'll have to own my hair. That's not gonna work.
You're going to have somebody shave you bald. Maybe somebody can make a trip up there and film it.
You use the Flowbee.
Just borrow some old clippers from someone. All right, so that we have it. We have an apuestas match request and an apuestas match challenge by Steve. So we'll see what happens. Stay tuned to find out if the Wrestle Kingdom prediction game will have an apuestas attached to it, a bet attached to it, the greatest stipulation in all of professional wrestling. Thank you for listening. We've had such a great time talking wrestling with you. Stay tuned for our All Out live stream immediately following the show on August 31st. You can check it out on twitch.tv/Rudos Podcast or search for the Rudos Podcast channel on YouTube. We're going to be talking all out, having live reactions. We're going to be streaming our wonderful faces and voices for you. It's going to be a blast. Follow us at Rudos Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Check us out, rudospodcast.co, to get all of our other episodes. You can download them, find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher. Thanks for listening to the Rudos Podcast again. I'm Jay.
And this is Scotty Nobelt. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Stay rudo, my friends. Quédese rudo, amigos.